If you want to know why you have all of these ideas and interests, but you still feel stifled and stuck, it is because your fear of being a beginner is stopping you from starting anything new. Welcome to Big Creatrix Energy. I am your host, Gabriella Rosie, and today we are talking about how you can stop being afraid of starting something new, how you can start being a beginner, how you can enter the phase of your life where you're a grown person, you're out in the world and you are not afraid of taking the chance on learning something new. You're not afraid of being brave enough to pursue the things that interest you, regardless if other people get it, regardless of if you even can see the full picture. But when we feel drawn to learn something, to figure something out, to acquire a new skill, that gives us information about the kind of life that we want to live and the direction that we want to go in. And I think it's really up to us to take note, to pay attention, and to act on that intuition, act on those little inklings that we are being given of what will satisfy us, what we actually want to take a role in our lives. So often we can go through this phase of being a kid and being at school and thinking that that is our time in our lives where we're available for learning something new. But once we, graduate high school and are out getting our careers, or out being an adult in the world, there's almost this idea that the learning phase is over, that we should be perfecting things, that we should be picking one thing and honing in on that and being really good at that one specific thing and putting in the years and the decades and the lifetime of work to one specific goal. And if that is what you feel drawn to, if that is what feels sexy to you, then by all means, go all in on one thing. But what I've found for myself and what I see for a lot of people is we have many different interests. There are so many different things that we want to pursue, that we want to learn about, that we feel naturally curious about and drawn to. And it's through this growing up and going through our lives and feeling like we can't do those things, that we might be like, I want to take this class, I want to learn pottery, I want to learn to play this instrument, I want to learn about mushrooms or whatever it is that you feel interested in, but feeling like it's not a productive or an effective use of your time because you are absolutely going to be busy by all of the other life things. But what happens when we do this over and over again is we push down our own personality. We push down what we are naturally interested in, what we could get excitement and satisfaction and fulfillment in our lives, but because it doesn't seem like the productive thing to do, because it doesn't have, it doesn't necessarily fall in the path, the steps that we feel we should be following in our life. Time and time again, you just put it on the list of things that you'll get around to one day. One day you'll take that class, one day you'll read the book, and they go added onto your bookshelf of endless things that you will read one day, endless things of that. One day when you retire, maybe you will have time to learn these things. Your life is lived right now, in the day-to-day, and you can't be holding off your satisfaction and your desires for some arbitrary, distant date in the future that honestly might never come. You might never have the time and space, and importantly, energy and enthusiasm to actually pursue the things that are really exciting you now. And what I find is I go through seasons of things that I want to learn about, and for a lot of it, it's not going to be something I'm going to be doing for my entire life, but it's being able to scratch that itch of curiosity and letting myself go in these deep dives of learning new skills and acquiring new areas of information that, for whatever reason, I want to learn about that time. And I think this is what makes us interesting people. Like, as we go out in the world, the most interesting people are the people who have really specific interests and have developed really specific skill sets in these areas that interest them. But it also makes you an interested person. And I think this is something that we forget isn't a natural trait, like isn't just something you are granted and given. It's a thing you practice To be interested in your own life, to feel excited, to feel enthusiastic about the things that you are pursuing, requires your consistent energy to be focused on making time for you to learn the things that interest you, to devote aspects of your days, aspects of your available energy to actually learn the things that you want to learn, to put the effort into it. And if you are feeling bored and flat, and if you're feeling stifled and stuck, and you want to be interested, you want to feel enthusiastic in your life, then the opportunity is available to you. You guaranteed, you're probably listening to this right now thinking, actually, yeah, there is these things that I want to learn about. There are all of these things that I feel drawn to. And maybe you just haven't been giving yourself the permission to explore them because it hasn't felt important. It hasn't felt like something you're even able to prioritize. And I hope this video, this lesson, this podcast gives you a little bit of permission to be like, you know what? I want to feel excited in my life. I want to feel enthusiastic on a day-to-day basis. And I can do that by pursuing the things that have my interest in them. And so let's talk about it. Everybody starts from zero. When you're learning something new, everybody starts from zero. So sit down, be humble. It can be really easy to say that this is because of social media, because we see people who are experts, who are really talented in every sort of thing. Like whatever your interest is, you can find someone online who's doing that exact thing to a ridiculous level, a really inspiring level, but it also might be intimidating level because you're going to be starting from zero. When you start something new, you're starting from zero. Because for the most part, we're used to people starting from zero at a much younger age. We are used to giving the mercy, the freedom for a child to not be good at something. But for ourselves, when we are grown, we don't give ourselves that luxury of not being good at something from the beginning. We don't give ourselves the luxury of starting something and not knowing how to do the thing. And so what I see is a lot of people start something and get really frustrated that they're not good at the thing straight away. And so they quit, they give up. They're like, it's not worth the effort. It feels too far away for me to get to where I want to go, for me to be able to, I don't know, bring the vision. Usually if you want to learn something new, you can see yourself, right? You can see yourself playing the piano to expert level. But when you sit down at the piano, it's really difficult to play the most basic thing. And you want to be at Alicia Keys level. But here's the thing, I was actually reading Alicia Keys' Wikipedia page, and from being a child, she started playing piano when she was maybe like 7, 8 years old. And she dedicated, she knew she loved it from that age. And so she spent hours and hours every single day practicing. And so to compare yourself, who might be learning how to play the piano right now, to somebody who has spent decades of pure dedication mastering that skill, makes no sense. It doesn't matter if you're starting at age 7 or if you're starting at age 20 or 30 or 50 or 80, you are starting where you are. And I know it's like, feels very overdone to just be like, just to tell you, don't compare yourself, don't compare where you're at to anybody else, because you know that, right? Logically, you know that. But I have to tell you it because it's too easy to do. When we want to create in a certain way, when we want to develop a certain skill, of course we're inspired to do that oftentimes because we see people who do it in a really beautiful and proficient way. And so of course we have aspirations of doing that as well. But we have to remember to be humble in the process. It is ignorant to what those people we look up to have put in, the true work and time and huge chunks of their life that they have dedicated to developing that skill. It's pretty rude of us to expect ourselves to be where they're at or surpass where they're at when we haven't put in the same amount of hours as well. And so I really want to encourage you to start from zero. Let yourself be know nothing. Let yourself arrive at something and not feel like you have to be the know-it-all, not feel like you have to rush ahead, but instead go at a gradual pace and enjoy the process of actually learning something. About a year ago now, I took my first ceramic class, and look, I'm so proud of what I'm creating right now and the types of things that I'm producing, but it's also nowhere near where I want to go, and it's nowhere near the things I want to be creating and the things that I imagine and dream of. But if I'm comparing myself to people who've been doing this 10 times as long as me and have developed their skills 10 times more, it makes no sense. It does no justice to me or the other people who inspire me. Instead, if I look back at where I was a year ago and the things that I was creating, I can see just how much progress I've made. I can see how putting in the hours of trial and error, of making a billion mistakes, all leads in the process, and it just inspires me even more to be like, okay, I just need to keep throwing things. I need to keep practicing. I need to keep making things that break and figuring it out and stretching it to its limits, and through the process I will be able to grow, and I will continue to grow, and I can enjoy the process. I don't have to just be waiting on the destination. What I really love about it is sitting at the wheel and being present in the act of creating something and being present in the act of learning something. I don't want to rush through my life, and I think pursuing the things that I'm interested in and making time for them on a daily basis, a weekly basis, allows me to live a life that feels really satisfying, because I know I'm showing up for the things I'm interested in. I know I'm allowing myself to develop this skill of being a beginner, of being humble in the process of learning something new, and not expecting myself to be the best in the world when I'm in the process of learning something. I spoke about this a little bit, but I want to go in a little bit more depth. Age is irrelevant when it comes to learning something new. And I think the big barrier can be, I'm a grown person, I should know how to do this. I shouldn't be a beginner. I should already be great at this thing purely because of my age. Terrible, terrible attitude to have. There are no shoulds. There is no, this is the way you should be performing, or this is the way you should be creating at your age. It's all relative. It's all relative to like how much time you've been able to spend on that thing, how much access you've been able to have, how early you in your life you realized you even wanted to pursue that thing. There really is there's no gain, there's no purpose, there's no point in comparing the age you're starting or the level that you're at your age compared to anybody else, because there's too many variables at play. There's too many points of comparison. Everybody's living an entirely different life. So to minimize your goals and your aspirations for what you want to pursue, the type of life that you want to be living, to minimize that in comparison to what anybody else in the world is doing makes no sense. And the way I like to think about it is me comparing myself to whatever stage someone else is at and feeling like, even starting something, right? Feeling like I'm too old to start this thing. I should have done this 50 years ago. I should have done this whenever. Is that helping me live the life that I want to live? Is that helping me make space to learn the skills that I want to learn? Or is that just playing into this story of comparison and competition, when the truth is there is always space in your life for you to create in different ways, for you to develop different aspects of yourself. And I really think that when we follow the things, we follow like the cues of what interests us. I don't know if it's this universal order, or I don't know if it's just that pull towards something leads us to satisfaction purely because it's you activating a part of yourself that feels turned on about expressing yourself in a certain type of way. You see somebody else dance in a certain way or paint in a certain way, and it's like, ooh, that feels like it's something I want to tap into. That feels like a way I want to share myself. I think when we do that, when we let ourselves learn these different ways that we can explore and express ourselves, through that process, we evolve in a direction that feels really satisfying for us. And I think that is what makes people feel fresh and makes people feel young. Having that learner spirit, having that learner energy is you going about, moving about the world and truly knowing and believing that whatever you feel called to is available to you. Refusing to let yourself be minimized by, it's too late, I can't do it because of this and that, but actually being like, I want to learn this thing, so I'm going to take the initiative and book myself into a class. I'm going to get some supplies and make myself available to pursue the thing that I want to pursue purely because I feel drawn to it, because it feels like a way that I want to express myself. And I think when we do that, this is how we shape ourselves as people. This is how we evolve in the direction that we want to go. And it's too easy to kind of be on autopilot, to live your life on autopilot with, this is the, TV show that's trending at the moment, so I'll watch that thing. This is the book that is trending, so I'll read that. And not actually going out there and consciously thinking, what are the things I actually want to learn about? How do I actually want to be spending my time? And for the people who pay attention to that, it sets you apart so much, because it means you are actually forming yourself on purpose. You're not letting how you spend your life just be an accident of what happens to be trending at the time, and where your attention's going is based purely on what your social media feed of the day is. But you're deciding, I'm gonna learn about this thing. I'm gonna learn this really specific skill, and I'm willing to set some time aside to put my energy and effort towards that. And through that process, of course, you're going to evolve into this specific person who you like to be. I like the person I am when I'm pursuing the things that genuinely interest me, because it feels satisfying, and it's because I can feel myself becoming even more the person, or the type of person that I would want to hang out with, the type of person who I think is really fucking cool and interesting. Because I'd be like, she's out here doing the things that she wants to do. She's not letting herself be afraid that, afraid that she should be better or more accomplished, or afraid that people will think it's weird to pursue that type of thing. Actually being your own person means following what interests you, and that's probably not always going to be the same thing that interests everybody else. That's probably going to mean you're doing some things that in some ways isolate you from the majorities, because you're not going to be reading the same book, you're not going to be having the same thoughts as everybody else. I think that's another reason actually why people can avoid pursuing what interests them. It's this worry that other people won't get it, that it won't make sense, that they won't know how to even explain it or justify it to other people. But no one else is living your life. No one else is accountable for how you feel and how satisfied you feel in your own life. And I feel like I've said satisfied 1,000 times, but I don't know, like that seems to be the core emotion of it. That seems to be the core feeling when I think about living an enthusiastic life, living a life that I feel excited by and energized to wake up in the morning and be able to set time aside to put towards all of these different things that I want to pursue. That is about satisfaction, because we can make ourselves busy doing a whole lot of nothing, just doing things that we feel like we should be doing things that tick the boxes, that make us be able to have conversations about whatever anybody else is doing. But to be satisfied on a soul level, to truly enjoy how you are spending your days, that means doing really specific things. And that probably means not doing the broad things that don't interest you at all. So to make space and to make time for you to pursue the things you want to do, is also going to probably require you saying no to a lot of other stuff. That might change some social dynamics, but you have to be okay with that, because if you want to become the person who does the things that interest you, if you want to live a satisfying life, that means being purposeful about what you spend your time doing. And realizing that it doesn't matter if you're not following what everybody else is doing, because that wouldn't fulfill you anyway. What's going to fulfill you is learning the thing, being okay with being a beginner, being okay with what my next point is, making shitty art. When you start something, you're going to make a whole lot of crappy stuff. You're not going to be good straight away. And this comes back to being humble in the process, being humble in the process of learning a skill and developing a skill, so you're able to get to the point where you're able to bring your vision to life, of having an idea that compels you so much you're going to jump through all the hurdles and go through all the steps and fail a billion times until you're able to get to the point where you're able to create the type of thing that you want to create. Means that in that process, those failures, that means making a lot of shitty art. And if you want to propel your progress, I think a really good technique is sharing what you're doing. And that can be like, if you're in a class with other people, they are seeing your progress. Or you can decide to share your progress on the internet and bring other people on the journey, which I think is a great thing to do and a very interesting and serviceable thing, because other people will see you making your progress. Other people will see you being brave and bold enough to pursue the things that interest you, and you will inspire them naturally without you having to do anything apart from follow your own interest. And I think that when we are brave enough to share our progress and to share our mistakes and our journey of getting good at something, it propels us, it energizes us. It's really exciting to see your progress, and it's really exciting for other people to follow along your progress as well. The ability to kind of laugh and shrug off failure will get you so far. The ability to make something and have it not turn out the way that you imagined it, to have it like, have an idea and then to test it out and be like, oh shit, that didn't actually work, and not be ruined by that, is actually very rare. And if you're able to develop that skill of being like, okay, I tried the thing, it didn't work, that's cool, shrug it off, I'm gonna try it again. Because with anybody, they didn't get it on the first attempt. They didn't get the Grammy-winning album on the first thing that they recorded. They went through iterations and iterations and failures and flops and demos and all of these different attempts until eventually they bring themselves to the point of reaching that idea and vision and articulation of the idea being in unity. And that takes time. Of course it takes time to be able to take something that's just an idea within you that has no roots, to create something that literally doesn't exist yet. Of course that's not going to happen instantly. And so when you start to see your own progress and your own evolution as something that is truly gradual, that you don't have to achieve in a second, that you don't have to gain on the first attempt, but you see it as something that you're in. It's a journey that you are actively progressing through. And again, you enjoy that journey. You let yourself be immersed in that journey. And sure, you're going to be ambitious around it, so it's only natural that you're probably going to want to rush it. But being in it, like letting yourself grow, because the truth of the situation is it's all relative, right? So this idea of making shitty art or arriving to a certain point, as soon as you arrive at that point that you initially thought, this is where I want to get to, as you approach it, it's only human nature that we shift the goalposts. We expand our own possibility of what we're capable of through the progress of learning something. And so you never actually arrive. You never actually get to the point where you are gonna be completely satisfied, because as soon as you get closer and closer to be able to create the type of things that you want to create, more options open up to you. More opportunities of what you're capable of open up to you. And that is the most exciting thing about creativity and pursuing your creativity. And I really think, you know, when I'm more aware of that I'm always going to be shifting the goalposts. And that doesn't have to be something that feels really hyper-productive or feels really overwhelming, but is actually just natural and exciting. And that's the thing that is motivating and compels me to continually be learning and advancing my own skills. That the more I go, the more I learn, more doors are going to open. More opportunities to create even more ridiculous things are going to open. And it's the same with ideas, right? There is no limit on the amount of ideas that you have. And as soon as you start taking action on an idea, more ideas will pop up, more things will open, because you start to see what that idea is like in reality, and it's like an avalanche. And so there's no scarcity there. There's no reason to hold yourself back on trying something. Don't be precious with your ideas. Don't be precious with taking action. Let yourself make a billion shitty things. Let yourself try all the iterations you can think of with no like clutching, no clinging onto it, thinking you have to get it perfect because you have no idea what's on the other side. I promise you, when you do the thing, when you create the thing, other options, other ideas will open up in front of you. And so even if you have we usually have certain ideas that we hold up on a pedestal, right? Where we're like, when I get to this point, then I will make that idea. I really want to compel you to just make that idea now, or make the version of that idea that you're capable of now, the version of the idea that you have the resources available to you right now to create. Because it's in pursuing those ideas that we have the most energy around, that we'll be more motivated to do it, and so we'll be able to progress even more rapidly. You'll be able to head in the direction of aligning your vision with your articulation much quicker. The next point that I want to talk about is that your only aim in learning something new should be to impress yourself. I get it, you're gonna want to impress so many people. You're gonna want people to admire the things you do. It's only natural. When we put ourselves into the things that we create, we'll have an audience of people that we want to serve through that thing. We'll have, our friends, our family, the people in our lives who we want to get their validation. And a lot of the time, those people aren't actually our target audience, or the people who are even interested in that type of thing. So when we put too much onus on what other people think, you're actually going to limit yourself. You're actually going to limit what you're capable of creating, because you're starting to morph yourself and what you're making through the lens of what your perception of what other people want is, which is really a very convoluted place to play in, and it's not very helpful in the long term. You're actually distracting yourself from creating something different, creating something that's entirely you, that you don't even know of, that you are developing in the process. And so I really want to encourage you to drop this idea of looking impressive through the process, because if you're really committing to making shitty art and being a beginner, then it's going to be a minute before you're creating something that's really even going to impress you. And if you hold your own taste as the actual barometer of your own success, that is the only thing that's going to give you a chance of developing something unique and developing something that is your own style and is different to what else exists in the world. When I think about creating things with the aim to please other people, I see it as putting these filters in front of what we're creating. Every different way we're trying to morph ourselves or our work into, it adds another filter onto what we could create. And it takes the big, 5D, super detailed vision of what you could bring forth, and it adds filters and layers on it that restrict what's coming through. And it stops the fullness of what you're able to explore, because you're minimizing yourself. You're like, I won't do this because I don't think people will like that so much, or I'll take this aspect out of it because maybe it doesn't make sense, or I'll make it more like this because that seems to be what's successful. That seems to be getting the engagement on social media. All of these are wildly irrelevant questions and filters and lenses to be approaching your own creative output. Because with creativity, you are making something that doesn't exist at all yet. Like, that thing doesn't exist yet. And you are coming to the point of understanding your own perspective through the process of creating something. And when I look to the people whose work I really admire, or the way that they move through their lives and how they express themselves, I can really see that they're creating quite selfishly. They're creating things that they want to see in the world. They're creating what they wish existed. They're not out here trying to please everybody, or trying to even have the bestseller or the thing that's viewed the most. They're actually creating things that are really specific and nuanced. And it's in those specificity, it's in those details that would probably turn a lot of people off, specifically turn a core group of people on. And it's in that they're able to attract the people who are actual ride or dies, who actually really give a shit about what they're creating. Because the option's there, right? You can make things that are really broad and that appeal to the masses. But for me, and what I think for you as well, is that's not really what we want. We don't want to make something that the masses think is okay and the masses like. We want to make things that a specific group of people love. Things that speak deeply to a specific group of people. And when you realize that you don't need the whole world to love you or like what you create, it frees you to be like, okay, well then I might as well get really specific, because not everyone is gonna like it. Even if you tried to make everybody like it, not everyone's gonna like it. So you might as well do yourself the favor of focusing on impressing yourself. Focus on pursuing the things that interest you and impress you, pursuing the skills and the mediums of creative expression that you want to, and pay no mind to what you think might be successful, what you think is trending. It's irrelevant. What do you want to do? What would impress you? What would make you hyped to be yourself, to be able to develop those skills, to be able to learn a new skill because it's something that specifically interests you. Okay, now what I want for you to do, you've come this far, you've listened to all of this, you've listened to me rant and rave at you about how you need to be starting new things, how you need to let yourself become a beginner in order to reach the creative satisfaction that you crave. This is your homework, this is how you make it happen. Start something new. Literally, start something new. That might look like taking a class. So right now, I want you to look up in your area, where are the classes for you to learn that thing that you want to learn. Or it might mean opening your calendar and blocking in a time today, tomorrow, this week, where you can sit down and work on that thing, where you can study, where you can practice your skills in that area. This is about taking action and committing to taking consistent action. And that's really as simple as it is. You know, making space, making time for something comes with literally doing that, opening your calendar, booking in the class, doing the thing, making the time and space for you to do it. Not just dream about this, not just watch this video and then like carry on the rest of your day and don't take any action. No, no, no. I really want you to pursue the things that will make you feel really good, that will make you feel really happy and satisfied in your life. And this is your invitation to do exactly that. So when you turn off this video, I want you to take one small step, one small action towards starting something new, pursuing an interest that maybe you just haven't been making enough time for lately, and letting yourself be a beginner in a way that really turns you on. And if you want to pursue creativity in a big way, I invite you to join my membership, the Creatrix Coven. We have a series of live calls every month where you can connect with a group of creatives who are literally all around the world. You can have a space for us to have a conversation and talk about your vision, the things that you want to create. There's also a library of resources, you've got content on there, you've got workshops that's going to help you prioritize creativity in your life in a huge way. The Creatrix Coven is a tool, it's a community that I've created to help us all prioritize art making in our lives, because if it's something that you want, if it's something that you want to pursue, if you want creativity to take center stage in your life, then it's not going to happen by accident. If you want to step into your creative power, if you want to truly start valuing your creative vision and doing something about it, then join us inside the Creatrix Coven. I cannot wait to chat with you on the calls, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.